The capture of Vienna by the Ottoman Empire in 1683 was a major historical event with far-reaching implications. The empire's defeat of the Habsburgs and its subsequent incursion into Central Europe greatly altered the geopolitical divisions on the continent and raised the curtain on a vastly different potential future. In this alternative timeline, the success of the Ottoman forces serves as a trigger for a sequence of events that will shift the balance of power in Europe and elsewhere, from cultural and religious consequences to complex economic and political upshots. The repercussions of this history-shaping instant are almost beyond reckoning. The Ottoman Empire's capture of Vienna in 1683 greatly steered its expansion into the heart of Europe. As it emerged dominant with the Habsburgs weakened and their territories vulnerable, the Ottomans pushed throughout Central Europe, firming up their grasp on this part of the continent and creating a new geopolitical landscape. As a consequence, the Ottomans were able to penetrate the central hub of Europe and all its assets, changing the continent's destiny. Among the direct consequences of the Ottoman victory in Vienna was the deep penetration that Islam, as a system of belief and as a way of life, made into its new territories. Fresh from its conquest, the Ottoman Empire arranged its purchase with religious, cultural, and social ornaments, marking its differentiation, at times rather visibly, from what had been there before the departure of the Turks. Islamic sites took the place of the Christian meeting houses. Schools and other edifices established their operations primarily as Islamic strongholds. Converts accelerated. Those who did not wish to espouse the new faith started to be overwhelmed by the presence of a new type of person in their midst. There were, besides that, those who fought for their own rights, ambition, and the endeavor with the newcomers for this captivating region. Yes, it did not require one to be an economist or an economic analyst to sense that the enlargement of the Ottoman Empire in Central Europe had weighty economic implications. With direct access and control of several key trade routes and their locations within the deep recesses of the continent, the Turks were able to control pertinent aspects of the flow of goods and resources between East and West in an enhanced and convincing manner. Directly, thus, the newly achieved influence gave them access to great fortune and formidability. Matters of almost unspeakable immediacy also on the European continent had washed in like a tidal wave because of the radical demographic transformations caused by the arrival, after the imperial success in the heart of Europe, of Ottoman Turks and their families. The large number of people who arrived in the wake of the Turkish Muslim armies, eager to have access to lands, estates, and offices within them, altered many things. In Central Europe, one was witnessing a clash of two worlds. With this clash, the region became overwhelmed. Ultimately, the way that men and women lived within the setting was transformed in many areas because of the confrontation between inhabitants of European origin and immigrants from the East. What had eclipsed the matter of Central Europe most completely was the new balance of power that was found there after the Ottoman success in Vienna in 1683. As the Great Donau and the Sava River too were no longer natural barriers to the Ottomans, their extension in Europe stood greatly interchangeably. The trouble for one group was rather too often welcome news for another one. One aspect that did not solely belong to Europe was the Ottoman reach into many parts of the Islamic world in the East and in the West. The deeply ingrained power the Ottomans achieved along the trade routes and in the heartland of Europe could not have happened at a more strategic or pivotal time. If certain facets of Ottoman power could secure much of the economic control and power in the East and the Middle East, securing things additionally in North Africa and in Asia was a task more of a military kind. The Turks had conquered significant parts of the most important regions in European Christianity in the East, moving as far as the Don-Dniester line and as far as the coast of the Dalmatian Sea and Raska regions in the south, and as far as the city of Buda today within the heartland. What they tried to do, and succeeded, was to bring in a new element into Central Europe, and then to profit considerably from it. One of the very few reasoned results to be found within the backwaters of the perpetuation of European and Ottoman elements along the River Danube region has been the excessively vibrant cultural intermingling of Christian and Muslim elements toward 1700. Ways of belief and ways of living began to resemble each other. The Ottoman emperor promised the Roman emperor much, and both would eventually regret it in different ways.